keep reporting about this situation inside Iran, political prisoners, mass arrests, targeted repression, which is towards all Iranian, but more focused towards minority, Kurds, Baluch, Arab, Azeri, also religious minorities, Baha'i and Jewish, and also the surge in execution. Could you please give us an overview about the situation, human rights situation inside?
Yeah, thank you so much, everyone, for being here. Not just to listen to what I say, to actually through that, to listen to what political prisoners and their families are asking you. Today is Tuesday, right? We're sitting here speaking freely. Many people are at work. People around the world are going about their life. Normal Tuesday. But the same Tuesday is a day that in many prisons, they take prisoners for executions. This is how the No to Execution Tuesday started last year. It's been 1.5 years ago that in 47 prisons across Iran, every single Tuesday, the prisoners going on hunger strike, knowing that they might be given extra charges, they might be beaten up, they might be taken to solitary confinement, but yet they go on strike. I would imagine maybe because they're so disappointed that the international community is not doing much or concrete steps to stop execution in Iran. So they took the matter in hand. I call that a nationwide protest. There is nothing in the history like that. 47 prisons every Tuesday for 1.5 years. So, you know that before the attack, the execution sentences was quite high, but the situation got even more complicated after that. Only in June, they executed at least 100 prisoners. And after the attack, the situation got more complicated because the regime basically used the opportunity to send the political prisoners from Evin prison to two notorious prisons, Fashafouye and Karchak prison. Karchak prison is the biggest, largest women prison in the Middle East. It's the same one that in 2023, EU put sanction on that. So I'm wondering why the EU is not doing anything to ask the regime why you transfer these prisoners to there. 62 women, including one with a child, is sent to Karchak prison. I don't need to tell you how worse it is. The drinking water that we have here, they don't even have that. The least hygiene, whatever you can imagine, you use on a daily basis as a basic. They don't have it in Fashafouye, they don't have it in there. Plus, they've been mixed with the non-political prisoners, which often, through the manipulation of the people in charge of the prison, they can attack the political prisoners. So the situation is quite bad. In fact, we have lots of news from families and ex-political prisoners. The minute they attacked every prison, you have all seen that clip, the minute they attacked, the political prisoners in women ward, they did not want to move out because every prison, I've been there, is quite huge. They could have taken them to different wards, but they didn't. Right after that, they brought tens of buses to get them there. They beaten them up. The first thing they did, they cut the water to force them move. So they took them handcuffed, shackled. Any of them that paused to go on the bus, they were beaten up and they were sent in. And I know that because for years the Iranian regime wanted to shut down the Evin so they can come and speak with you and say that we do not have political prisoners. And we shut down the Evin. We know that, but they couldn't do that before. Now was the best opportunity. They used it and they've done it. So these women, many of them, including Varisha Moradi, a very courageous woman who's been given execution sentence, now there, and they're struggling because they are being in a war situation. Some of these prisoners were sent to unknown prison. including Swedish Iranian Ahmad Reza Jalali. 2 days ago, I asked his wife, do you know where Ahmad Reza is? She doesn't even know. The lawyers are not allowed to know where he is. The two French nationals, as you know, Cécile Collet and the partner Jacques Paris, they are taken to unknown situations again. So the situation is so bad. I'm sure Gino will talk about his father. In fact, Gino shouldn't be here, should be doing her life as a young person. She's here to speak about the death sentence for her father. The news agency of Fars, who is related to IRGC, announced that they actually demanded that the massacre of 1988 should be started again. You all know that the massacre of summer of 1988, more than thousands of political prisoners were executed. This is not a news, this is a warning. This is a warning to the EU that yes, if we don't put pressure, they will be executed. And I get a daily news from families and the prisoners, and we're trying to lobby for that. But the question is, what is EU doing in pressuring the regime? To me, nothing. I respect all of you as individuals, and I know you're doing a lot, but as the EU, they don't know anything. They don't do anything. Hostage policy. We know that dual national and foreign national are targeted completely. Unfortunately, again, nothing has been done. Sweden, France, they haven't done anything. In fact, what they have done, when they arrested Johan Flores, which is employee of EU, what they did, they exchanged Hamid Nouri, who was a convicted war criminal in the Swedish court. What they doing, they actually emboldening IRGC. They colluding with the hostage-taking policy. We have to remember, transnational repression that I'm sure, Sima is very well know about that. It's again another thing, kidnapping, dissident, hostage-taking, threatening us as activists. But this actually, you have to think about it. In Sweden, after burning Quran, if you know the news, I'm sure, the IRGC backed basically people. They sent 15,000 text messages to Swedish citizens. How can that be acceptable to the EU? What do they do to protect the EU citizens? The regime, what we know, does not experience consequences for what they do, and that's the problem. And I think that's why the EU needs to get their act together. But I'm going to finish soon. The IRGC, we keep saying, why is not on the list of terrorist organization? We heard from the Joseph Borrell, former vice president of EU Commission, oh, we can't put someone on the list because we don't like them. This is ridiculous. We know they can do that. But what I noticed throughout this basically period of war, it's been repeated on media constantly. The devil we know, it's better than the devil we don't know. Because they don't have alternative, let's be honest, for Islamic regime, they rather tolerate the Islamic regime instead of having unknown. But people in Iran, the situation is people in Iran, they do not want. They do not want to be rescued by any government. The revolution doesn't happen by attack by Israel or US. The revolution happens by people and will happen. You all have seen women like freedom. You all have seen the potential people have to open the prison doors and overthrow the regime. What they need is the EU and the international community to act. To be honest, regimes is scared more of people than the EU, because what we see, again, come back to the negotiation table. Tell me, in the more than 4 decades, what have EU achieved? Nothing, actually, nothing, except giving legitimacy. You might find me very direct. I have all the right to be, because I'm representing all these political prisoners and their families. Someone like Bijan Kazemi, whose mother doesn't know even where these prisoners is. I've been in prison when I was 12 years old. I've been in prison when I was 16 years old. I lost the all of my best friends through execution. So I know what it's like to be prisoners. But the difference is, at the time in 80s, we didn't have anyone to represent us. but now people in Iran expect you. So as an individual, as a collective, I think the EU needs to stand on the right side of the history. Thank you. I'm just going to add to what I said, and I think I have a bit of a more practical solution. We know that sanction only hurts people, not the regime. We know that. And I think one of the things that, for example, the German government, the Swedish government, French, and all that they can do, they can recall their ambassador. It's very practical. It's doable. They have done it. The question is, you're not dealing with a regime, normal, defined government. It's a mafia-like regime who kills in the region, who kills inside Iran. And when they kill their own citizen, EU citizen, what's the message when you don't recall your ambassador? We're saying that shut down the regime's embassy. What they say in the last 40 years, they say because we have to open a channel for dialogue. What dialogue? I'm sorry. Did you have achieved anything that we don't know of? So what I'm trying to say, there are actually practical reasons. Most of the parliaments in EU, including UK, where I am from, they actually unanimously, the MPs voted on putting IRGC on the list of terrorist organizations. Why is it not happening? So writing letter and all that, and I really appreciate that you are responsible for actually Gino's father as well. I really appreciate that. But I think as an individual that you're concerned, that's why you're here. You're part of a big organization. That needs to happen. Recall your ambassador. Why don't they expel the regime's diplomats in these countries? Why they have citizenships when they're killing people inside Iran? This has nothing to do just with people in Iran. Let me give you an analogy. If I live in a building, if we all live in a building and a gang come and attack my house, it's not just my house is not safe, it's the whole building. If they attack dissident outside of Iran, it's all of you in danger. So therefore, I think there are more practical way to go it, but I know that, listen, UK government being the worst, I know that they're not gonna go for it because they don't have an alternative. Because the devil they know is better than the devil they don't know. And that should stop. So that means that massacring people in Iran is okay. And we have to bear with a mafia-like regime, like the Islamic regime. And just one more point. Regime is the weakest point now. It has never been. Lost all the Hamas, Hezbollah, Houthis, and last nail in the coffin was Assad regime, gone. Inside Iran, facing people who are any minute they're gonna overthrow them. So EU must act now, to be honest, before it's too late. Thank you.
Can I have just one? You want to? Sure. Yes. I'm a politician, but